Hello, everyone, and welcome back to HUMHR Career Insights. I am so grateful when you join us on HUMHR Career Insights because there is so many competing priorities. And I know that when you choose to come, we are grateful. Across Africa, women are among the most entrepreneurial people in the world. In fact, Africa has the highest rate of female entrepreneurship globally. But despite this energy and innovation, women entrepreneurs still face major barriers, including an estimated 42 billion financing gap and limited access to markets and capital. This is according to the African Development Bank. My guest today is working to change that. Precious Nyarambi is the founder and CEO of Vessels of Virtue, a platform advancing women's economic empowerment and entrepreneurship in Africa, with programs running in South Africa, Kenya, and Zimbabwe. In this conversation, we explore building social impact organizations, empowering women entrepreneurs, and what it will take to unlock Africa's next generation of leaders. Precious, welcome to HUMHR Career Insights.
Thank you so much, Batje, for having me on the podcast. I feel so honored, and I'm excited to explore and converse on opportunities that I feel could potentially benefit the female entrepreneurs.
Is there anything I missed out in the introduction that you would like me or our listeners to know?
I am a social entrepreneur, an entrepreneur who is concerned about community development as well. I am a business person in my own right. I'm still trying to figure out a lot of things. I'm an author. I run a couple of initiatives that, of course, centers on business and social impact. In Africa, as you alluded to earlier, in Kenya, Zimbabwe, South Africa, we're also trying to expand our reach to Europe and I believe in the US by the end of the year.
That's fantastic. Quite a journey. What first inspired your passion for women's economic empowerment and community impact?
I think there's a quote that often says necessity is the mother of invention, So I remember coming to South Africa years ago, over 15 years ago. I think we were moving from economic challenges from Zim, and I found myself here in South Africa, and I was still quite young. I remember navigating a couple of challenges that included not having a place to stay, being so desperate, and that forced me to get out of my comfort zone. And I think the reality was also that oftentimes we judge people without context. I remember I wouldn't have understood that you can find yourself in the streets of Joburg without a place to stay late in the night and anything can happen. So it was that pushed me to say, look, I think women can easily be vulnerable, especially when they are not, empowered holistically. And that's the vision started. I was really in the middle of nowhere, in the streets of Joburg without any support. And I felt like if this can happen to me, it can happen to anybody. That's where the vision was birthed.
There's nothing like lived experience to drive purpose and passion. I was reading earlier about empowerment and I thought to myself, what does empowerment really mean? And then I looked at the Oxford definition of empowerment and it says, I actually wrote it down, and it says the definition of empowerment is authority or power given to someone to do something, the process of becoming stronger and more confident, especially in controlling one's life and claiming one's right. What does real economic empowerment look like in real practice in your work?
I think that it has to be holistic. And just to take you back, sometimes it's not given. Sometimes you must actually take it, because if you don't take it, nothing is going to come on the silver platter. The reason why, for me, I would say holistic is in the context that sometimes you see that there are people that do have opportunities, but they don't realize that they have opportunities. Some don't have opportunities and they are not also going to go and look for opportunities. So I feel like when you talk of empowerment, it has to be holistic. It has to make sense. The mind must be able to identify. The mind must be able to receive, to kind of like pick up that there is an empowerment opportunity being presented. And then once the mind conceives that, it can then be able to receive it. Because sometimes then there are opportunities that are presented to people that are not ready. And I remember one of my mentors always would say that, you must always make sure that you are prepared for opportunities. Don't let opportunities come and then you are not ready for them. So I think even in the context of all things, sometimes it makes more sense than when we are waiting for that opportune time to come to also invest in making sure that we are ready, empowered holistically to be able to perceive the opportunities, to be able to comprehend the opportunities, and also to be able to run with them. Because sometimes it's not a matter of opportunities not being there. It's a matter of a prepared person to actually grab the opportunity that is being presented. If it's not there, again, it's a matter of knocking until the door opens. But then even when it opens, you must also then make sure that you're ready for it.
That's powerful, holistic and preparation. So does that inform your programs?
Yes, because I personally feel like there were some doors that were opened for me prematurely. I wasn't ready for them. So people were way ahead of me in terms of presenting the opportunities. So because I wasn't ready for them, I missed out. I missed out on good relationships. I missed out on opportunities that could have scaled my work quicker and faster. So I feel that it's always important to make sure that it's holistic, it's intentional. You wake up, you show up, you are ready, you prepare yourself mentally, you prepare yourself in terms of your skill set. You just make sure that you are aligned. Just do your part, for that opportune time.
Precious, how did Vessels of Virtue grow from an idea into a platform reaching thousands of women across Africa?
I often joke and say, one of my sisters, she says that I'm very stubborn, and I'm stubborn in the sense that people will not know that I'm being stubborn in a passive way sometimes. So it started off as an idea, and I thought to myself that, okay, actually we started with a cleaning company because there was one gentleman who used to, he was more like a role model to me. He still actually is alive, and he's always been like a good brother, father figure around me. So I saw him one day and he was telling me about this cleaning company. And I thought, okay, I'm not in a position to get a job as we speak, but maybe I can create a job for myself and for the next person. That's how we started. And then when I saw that, okay, we can give women jobs, it was in that moment again that is when I learned that, okay, I can present an opportunity to a person who is not even ready for it. Because then I would have encounters of having reliable cleaners that show up every day, that have an appreciation of what we are trying to do to make sure that they have sustained livelihoods. And so from there, I was like, okay, maybe if we also empower the mind, then it's more like we are pouring opportunities to a people, to a vessel that is ready. And so then I began to just differentiate, classify, put the work in different pillars so that it makes sense to me, but ensuring that the ultimate goal was that of holistic empowerment. So that's how it started, one step in front of the other, trying to grow, just saying it out, making little flyers, sitting in the table with people that could put in a word, could mentor, could walk the journey. And then whenever there are opportunities for growth, for me, I think the underlying thing has always been that holistic component. As I have grown, that it's important that when we empower, we try and make sure that it's holistic. So it has been a journey, of course, many lessons learned, many mistakes made, plenty of immaturity and so forth. But I think it's also that part where you're like, okay, I'm going to forgive myself for the mistakes I made and make sure that when I try again, I'm trying better. And where I didn't do right, I must also show up and also engage those people fully and in a mature manner, so that if there's any room for them to still even open the door for me, they can still do that. So it has been a journey. It has been a journey. I think formally we registered the organization in 2010, but I promise you it has been a journey. But I'm very grateful for the journey this far.
What have been some of those mistakes?
It's just that lack of being prepared, not being prepared. If there's a potential grant that someone can give, then you're not ready for it. The financials are not in place. You are not compliant. Sometimes it's also, the dynamics of entrepreneurs. You are more like on a survival mode. And then so sometimes you find yourself battling between being logical and being emotional. And then you wear the wrong shoe at the wrong place where logic is being required of you. You show up with emotions and then people are like, are you for real? We wanted an astute businesswoman to show up, but there are tears everywhere. So I feel like sometimes I'll not get it right, and I'll show up still, but I'm just not showing up right. And again, it's also when a door is opened, make sure you show up, you are present, and you've prepared for that. Again, for me, it's always being prepared. When a window is opened for you, make sure that you show up right, you show up prepared, you show up with all your ducks in the row. So I think for me, it was just not being prepared, and these compliance issues, and sometimes even just this victim mentality, where instead of just making sure that, no man, Precious, you can do this. Don't undermine yourself. Don't underestimate yourself. You've got the ducks in the row. Show up. And when you do that, show up confidently. So be bold in your conversations, and be ready. That's, for me, I think I've had to learn those. It was more of those, I think, the soft skills, the emotional skills, and the likes.
Impostor syndrome. Has that been something that you've had to deal with?
No, I'll be lying. For me, it's clear in my head what I need to do. So I don't really I don't get swayed. It's clear in my head, my conviction of what I'm supposed to do. I can come for mentorship, I can come for guidance, but I'm not that person who can jump onto other people's things, how they do their things. No, because I think for me, it's also because when we do what we do, we are doing it is birthed out of the necessity, of course, is birthed out of purpose. And also, what is God saying when you are doing what you're doing? Because if you get your blueprint in the throne room, if you get your blueprint in the birthing place where it's birthed from God, He gives you the directives. And so it's more like God gives you a vision, you write it down, and those that are meant to run that with you, they run that with you, and they understand the mandate that you have to carry, that you have to run, that you have to execute. I don't want to lie. I guess maybe that's why, again, my sister often say I'm stubborn. I don't get swayed. I don't suffer a lot from imposter syndrome. No.
I love that. Has faith then played a big part in the organization that you have built?
I would like to believe so. It has been my anchor to date, because I think the journey of being a social entrepreneur or being an entrepreneur, sometimes it gets lonely. You're going to walk in spaces where you are misunderstood, that you don't have certain things, lined up. You don't have, this doesn't make sense. And you're going to feel excluded. You're going to feel in some spaces rejected. Some people are going to look at you and make you feel like you don't belong in those spaces. And it gets tricky. It gets scary. And some decisions you have to make, and you make them because of your conviction, because of your value system, because of the sacrifices that you make. And it becomes very, very interesting for me. But again, it's summoning that strength every day to say, okay, in places where I'm not heard, where I'm not understood, the vision is mine to start with, and I must see this thing through. It must happen. It must work, because sometimes I think you look even at the time that you have invested in this thing, you look at the little money that you've even invested in this thing, and you realize that giving up is not even an option. This thing must make sense. So I must still wake up daily and make sense out of this thing daily.
That's powerful. That daily vision, waking up and saying, this is the vision, this is the purpose, this is where we must go. It must work.
I think so. There's something about showing up, there's something about consistency. You can't ignore a person who is consistent. You will not. You will see it, you will feel it, that this person has been on this thing for some time. I think that has been some of my major triumphs or major breakthroughs, in that people would say, Presh, I've seen you doing this for the longest. You have not given up. I'm like, I have no choice. I can't give up. And they'll be like, come have coffee with me. What can I do to help? And so for me, I think consistency is one of those critical components. Daily, wake up, show up, have your to-do list, action those things out. If you promise to do something, do it. Communicate, talk to people, engage people, show up. Daily show up. I think it's important. It's very important. Yeah.
Precious, you mentioned the pillars that drive you to daily show up. Can you tell us, can you share those pillars with us?
So Vessels of Virtue, we focus on about 5 pillars of work, and being the economic and educational empowerment programs for women that we run through different initiatives. We have mentorship that's ongoing. We have business coaching that's ongoing. Sometimes we run masterclasses with different experts. We also do conferences like the one we have upcoming in May. This is to try and empower women again holistically, and also try and open market opportunities, give exposure to women so that they can also do better. There's always power in learning what others are doing good and improving on what you'd have been doing yourself. And so that's the first pillar. It's not limited to that. I think we've taken women overseas before. We're still trying. We're going to do that a lot more, because I feel like exposure is a game changer. It brings you to another dimension of execution. And secondly, it has been the technological and innovation arm, where we are training women on soft skills, computer skills. It's still at a small scale. I would love for it to grow bigger, because I want women to be tech savvy. I want also youth to be tech savvy. That's the second pillar. There, we're still looking for opportunities of growth, of partnerships that we can be able to implement it better. The third one is the humanitarian arm. So whenever there are needs, if we can service those needs, we try and galvanize support for people to get the help that they want. For me, I think especially in that regard is usually for kids. If they want food, if there is somewhere I can get food, we try and get that support. If it's school shoes, if it's books, if it's, school hampers and things like that, we do that. And the fourth one has been the healthcare arm. We are still trying to grow that one. The idea for me around it is that healthcare in Africa is not equal, is not affordable, and it's also not easily accessible. So we are trying to have our own ways of bringing medical equipment in Africa, and try and run, even if it's mobile hospitals, or we are partnering different organizations. And under that as well, we are trying to launch our own insurance project that then emphasizes and supports the healthcare arm of our work. The fifth one has been sport, which was an initiative that we ran last year, which was our pilot program. We were able to run with an AC Milan soccer camp, and it was an exciting experience because we brought in coaches from overseas and kids participated, and it was, for me, it was life-changing, and it also opened another avenue of community development that our children can be able to tap into those spaces, learn how to play soccer professionally, get the exposure that they want, and potentially get talent exported to Europe or any other continent that they desire. But it has been beautiful. We also have a magazine that we are running that enhances and showcases the story of different people doing amazing things. It's not just women. We're trying to profile different people that are doing amazing things across the globe, actually. Yeah.
How do you manage to spread yourself across those 5 pillars?
I believe in teamwork. And I had said earlier that I think initially I used to hold on to the vision and make it mine, it's precious, And then I realized that I wasn't growing at all. I've kind of then kept this thing to myself, kept this vision to myself. But again, even when you look at the biblical example in the book of Haggai, it says, write the vision down and make it plain so that others may run with it. So for me, in this era, I believe in the power of partnerships. I'm not an accountant by profession, so I get an accountant on board to help me. I'm not a lawyer to draft documents that needs to be drafted. I get a lawyer on board. I'm not a videographer. I'm not a marketing person. I'm more gifted in strategy. So for me, it has been building teams and play to people's strengths, what people are good at, then you bring them on board and you'll be amazed. Like even with the soccer initiative, I don't have to show up to soccer sessions. We have appointed coaches that are running with that vision because that's their expertise, that's their forte, and they are happy to do that without pressure showing up every day. So for me, it has been that paramount thing of just saying, can I get people who can help me grow this? And the minute I began to do that, it has helped me. I do have a good administrator who helps me so much. I do have like the likes of Shelton who makes my life easier. And that's how I spread myself thin. But also generally, I think I'm a workaholic. I want to see things happening. I want to see things through. I believe in committing to things and bringing them to life by nature. It's in my DNA. If I say I'm going to do something, for me, it's important to see it through. I will try by all means to see it through. So then I guess also it's the people skills part where even people that you don't ordinarily meet every day, when you meet them and they see value in what you're doing, the dialogues that you're going to have, it's the continuous effort that is deliberate to build relationships that can enhance the growth of your business. If you are going to keep it to yourself, it's not going to grow. If you are going to be emotional about it, it's not going to grow. They often challenge us and say that, even if you are looking for investment, you must appeal to the emotional brain. You must also appeal to the logical side. So I think people are powerful. People are powerful. Sometimes you even be amazed that even the people that are closest to us, when they celebrate us and they tell us that you can win, you can do it, you go out there boldly, confidently so, and you win. You are amazed by those little words that they begin to mean so much to you. Yeah.
The power of community and support.
Absolutely. Because, sometimes we sit and we think that I'm so stuck, but the solution that I want lies with you. It's just a matter of me saying, look, I find myself in this zone. I feel like I can't move out of it. And when I share it, especially if it's also being intentional in who you share that with, because it's not everyone. It's people that understand you, that are going to help you grow. You share that with, and they'll tell you, no, I was stuck there 10 years ago as well, and this is how I navigated. I guess then it speaks to that part of mentorship.
That's powerful. Mentorship does drive forward the vision. You work closely with women entrepreneurs. What would you say are the biggest barriers women face when trying to build businesses in Africa today?
There are plenty. Women face, I think, a lot of challenges in running their spaces. I'll give you examples where I feel like I could have gone far, but because I was a woman, there's a place I'm naturally relegated to. That's where you belong. That's where you should stay. And people have not they've not given you grace. And I guess I think it's also a cultural thing that sometimes women face. But I just listed down a few here. Limited access to capital. It's one of them, mostly because women don't have collateral. A lot of women, they don't have collateral that will speak for them to be able to access the support that they want. So I also feel that with that being said, the access to capital should be realistic where women are concerned, especially with that reality of knowing that we don't have collateral in most cases, Then lack of collateral, I alluded to that. Limited access to markets, financial literacy gaps, social and cultural barriers that limit women on an ongoing basis. But they are not limited to this. There's so much more.
One theme that has come up several times this season when speaking with entrepreneurs, particularly women, is those challenges that you're talking about. And it is the challenge of the ecosystem around them. There's a particular conversation that I had with Wani in a previous episode. She mentioned that the ecosystem itself can often be one of the biggest barriers to growth. From your experience working with women entrepreneurs across the different countries, what does that ecosystem challenge look like in practice? Is there a common thread in the countries that you have worked with in?
I think that, for instance, number one, if women are going to be intentional about helping each other and making room for each other, that will also change the ballgame, because sometimes we are not walking the talk. We talk about it, we converse about it, but practicalizing it, it's another thing. So I feel like we need to be doers of our word, like the book of James says. We need to action out. When we say it's empowerment, how practical is it? And then again, it's also the dialogues when we are having them. Can we be honest about the barriers that we are facing? And I think it's only when we admit to that reality that there are financial gaps because of cultural biases that we still have to navigate in Africa. Not every woman goes to school. Even in a context where, like, for instance, in Zimbabwe, you still have these issues of religion that's keeping the girl child from going to school. You have early marriages that we are still navigating. So you can imagine that there's also a knowledge gap that's there. These ladies won't even know what's coming, what's not, what's available, how things can be done better. So for me, I think that we need to be very intentional to the point where we go even to the grassroots in ensuring that we address these financial gaps, financial literacy gaps, market gaps, because sometimes it's just then making this information available to every person at whatever level that they are. And we remove this issue of classism that because Precious has got access to internet, then she's my friend. No, it goes beyond that. I mean, you rise by lifting. Be intentional in just lifting another woman, even within your community. Make sure that that girl child is trained in financial literacy, in IT. Let's make it a culture of just Ubuntu, loving people, being intentional in creating spaces for other people to grow. It won't take away anything from you. Instead, when they can take care of themselves, it becomes even a better environment for everybody.
I think there is power in sitting at the table with a lot of people, in setting a table and seeing that I have actually included so many people at this table that I myself have created. The power of collaboration rather than, you said holding on to the vision, the power of just spreading that vision, and there the growth lies.
I promise you, like today earlier, I was amazed. I went to this organization because I saw value in what they are doing. And I'm like, there's no need for me to reinvent anything. They can potentially partner us in executing this, and we do this better. When we come together like that, we are able then to amplify our voices. And then we are able even to have conversations that matter, and not just conversations. We are then able to implement, because that's the power of the collective. We are doing this together. We are doing it with an informed mind. We are doing it with experts on board. We are doing it with the relevant, stakeholders or decision makers or policy, because there are conversations that you cannot have without the government. Because then at the end of the day, if you don't engage them, you'll be stuck by you not just being. So there's no need for us to be elusive, for us to be ignorant. We need to be intentional in having dialogues that matter. And after we have had the dialogues, it's important, it's paramount for us to implement on those dialogues.
Dialogues. And your conference, is that where your conference comes from that place of there must be dialogues?
I think so, because I think a lot of people talk. But it's moving beyond the conversations. It's moving beyond the dialogues. What's being done? Can we hold each other accountable? Can we be trusted? Can we execute? I think for me, I'm more interested in results. I'm more interested in execution. And if I know that I don't execute better, who do I onboard to make sure that things are done better?
What are the changes that you have seen in a woman's life, perhaps after your programs, or what impact have you seen from the conferences?
One story that have always remained very personal to me was one lady that I met when I started the cleaning company years ago. So she came, she was introduced to me. I had just started my cleaning company then. I would even go to the robots myself and hand out the flyers. This girl, they brought her to me and they said she's looking for work. She was also from Zim, but she couldn't speak Shona. I couldn't speak Ndebele, and she couldn't speak English. So there was no communication that could happen. But then I let her go to sit down, and we had someone translating the story, how painful it had been for her to actually walk across the river, Limpopo, coming to South Africa, how she had been raped and how she had to keep a child, how she struggled keeping that child, keeping that pregnancy, giving that child away, and not even having a livelihood. For me, I think that story is one story that remains with me forever, that you can sit down with people, you can hear their stories. If there are opportunities, you can point them to those opportunities, even if there's nothing that you can do. That girl later on got a job, was able to pick herself up. Of course, she gave the child away for adoption, and she's taking care of her kids now. So there's been plenty of stories like that through our work. I think sometimes it doesn't matter where we find people at, it's how we leave them after they've encountered us. That's what is more important for me.
That's quite an incredible story of transformation. I think that we can hold that story as we go to a break, and we'll be right back to talk about identity and leadership and also Africa Rising. This episode is brought to you by HUMHR, the boutique career and leadership consultancy helping professionals get clear, get confident, and get hired. From CV writing and Clifton Strengths coaching to interview prep and leadership development, HUMHR is here to help you take the next step in your career. Visit humhr.org. HUMHR.org to learn more. Welcome back, everyone. We are having a conversation with Precious, and she is talking about social entrepreneurship. Precious, what does leadership mean to you as a woman building platform?
I think leadership is a big word, in the sense that I think you realize as you go on that you need to lead yourself first, and when you have led yourself first, others can lead you. So I think it's important then to even dig within. Who am I? What am I supposed to do? What am I aiming to achieve? And when I have done that, how do I show up even to people? How do I show up even for myself, the authentic me? And leading myself even in the mess, leading myself even when things don't make sense, still waking up every day and telling myself we are winning, even when there's no winning on the hindsight. It's also, again, tapping into the expertise of people that have gone ahead of us, people that have executed things better. I think with grace and maturity comes a lot of wisdom. So there are people that have gone ahead of us that have done things exceptionally well. So I don't have to reinvent the wheel. I don't have to redo certain things. I must just sit under their guidance, under their expertise, and learn, so that I don't even have to make certain errors again that they made, because I'm choosing to sit and be taught. So leadership for me, it's also allowing myself to learn from myself, from others, most importantly, that others can do things better. So it's sitting and listening and hearing and saying, okay, then going back again to that space of your value system, your faith, whatever you believe in, and just then realigning to dig deep within, align with your authentic self, and then come up with something that makes sense for you. But if you ride alone, it becomes harder. There are conversations I've had with people where I'm like, okay, it would have taken me years to unpack that, but because I just said to this person, I'm happy I did. And so I learn a lot from other people. Sometimes I learn quietly, I watch them. I'm like, okay, all right, okay. And sometimes it's even in what they say to me. It's when they lead from the back, from the front, either way. I always love to learn from others. Yeah.
One of my guests in an earlier episode said, if you want to go fast, go by yourself. But if you want to go far, go with others.
Absolutely. I think there's even a quote that says, if you're going to see far, you stand on the shoulders of giants, And so I think it is important, even in our generation, to actually appreciate what others would have sacrificed, people ahead of us, If someone has done something well, if they've cleared the path, I think we just need to appreciate that. And so that even the issues that we then get to solve are not those issues that they solved, because our generation is facing a different breed of issues. So then if we take the issues that were unpacked there and we bring them now, we are missing on what we should be solving now. So I think it's important that we understand times, we understand seasons, what needs to be done. When do I sit and learn? When do I execute on my own? When do I find myself? Where do I find authentic pressures? And it's an ongoing journey, because sometimes you are required to show up authentically, but nothing is making sense. And you still have to prove to people that this can be done.
There's a lot of conversation, Precious, about Africa rising. From where you sit, the work that you do, what are your thoughts on this?
I love Africa. I'm an African through and through. I want to be a part of what Africa is becoming. I believe that there are so many opportunities for people to play in, and people must position themselves and grab those opportunities. I completely believe that Africa is the place to be, and Africa is now, and Africa is rising. And Africa is going to be built by Africans, because we understand where we are coming from, understand what we need to do. We envision the future. Of course, we will not be able to do that on our own, but definitely this is time for Africa. Time for Africa is now, and Africa is rising. And I believe more so when we can unite our efforts, when we can unite our skill sets, when we can actually be compassionate with one another, which I think has always been our biggest strength. Ubuntu, I think, is something that we should not trivialize. I think we should get to a space where we break down the barriers, the biases, and all of that, and be intentional in building the Africa that we want. Because I don't understand how we can have so much and yet not be at the place that we should be. I think time is coming when we need to make decisions that affect the rest of the world, because of what we carry, because of the population of the youth, because also the awakening that's happening, the buzz, the need to build. I think it's really passively, I'm seeing it mushrooming into a powerful, powerful force. So the time for Africa is indeed now.
Working across several African countries, Precious, what patterns are you seeing in women entrepreneurship?
I see resilience. I see many women that are resilient, because we are coming from a place of disadvantage as women. And the common thread that I've seen is women that are set on winning, women that defying the odds. Because what's beautiful about empowering a woman is that I think there's an adage that says that when you empower a woman, you've empowered a village. I believe that it's critical to empower women, because then communities change, environments change, corporates change, the business world changes when women are empowered. So the common thread for me has been resilience, has been determination, has been the zeal, the eager, the showing up in rooms that matter. I think there's this whole thing now that I'm seeing of women just joining hands, of being intentional and creating opportunities for one another. I see it in Zimbabwe, but also, again, it's also knowing your tribe and being intentional and being heard accurately so. Because sometimes then there's a negative rapport that can be speaking against you, but being intentional in what gets to be told, what gets to be said, what you are doing. What's your purpose? Is it clear? So you see it. I see women rising. I see women standing up. I see women holding hands. I see women doing that with resilience, with determination, with boldness, with courage. I see women knocking on doors that they didn't ordinarily knock on, but right now they feel more bolder to do so. So for me, I celebrate women. I'm proud of how women are shaping up and owning their space and occupying their spaces.
That's beautiful. I was reading up on women empowerment, it's just been International Women's Day, and I was reading up on a lot of those themes. And I read that Africa actually has the highest rate of female entrepreneurship in the world. Why do you think African women are so entrepreneurial despite the structural barriers?
I think it's because at the end of the day, most of these things are left for women to cater. You can't be stuck with children that are hungry. You eventually must make sure that they've eaten. You can't ignore a situation in your community that you're fully aware of. So I think by nature, women are empathetic. They are trying to give, gain to give to gain. They are trying to be relevant. They are trying to be mothers. They are trying to be responsible. They are trying to solve problems, and they are always doing it. So, and also I think because of that cultural bias, cultural barriers, most of the women, some of them, they didn't have access to education or these early marriages that we spoke to about earlier. So then, because people must survive, then they find themselves as default entrepreneurs, because you must still make means to an end. So I think that, again, is that necessity that then forces women to say, okay, I need to step up. I need to up my game. I need to deliver. And I think women can be trusted. Women can be trusted.
Trust. I like that. If a young African woman listening today wants to build something meaningful in her community, where do you think she should start?
Her heart must be right? The heart must be right. And there must be grit. Start from wherever you are. The Bible says as a man thinks in his heart, so is he. So you think about it, you write it down, you action it out. And as you action it out, help will find you. But the important thing is to start. Don't let the limitations, the frustrations, the barriers, resources that you can't control limit you. Because when you do something and you do it well, that will speak for you. Opportunities will find you as you go. You then must be able to have something that is ready, that is viable, that is scalable when opportunity finds you. Because it will definitely find you. But again, you must be prepared for it when it shows up.
I think it's finding that balance, because there's always the trap of, I have to have it just right. All my ducks have to be in a row. Everything must be just perfect. And it's finding that balance that I have prepared. Let the opportunities now find me.
Yes, because I think in allowing ourselves those seasons of preparation, there's growth that happens in the inner man. When you allow it, you find it. You find growth. So starting is important. And even if you are stretched, you realize that there's growth, there's wisdom that comes in that. I was sharing with a friend of mine earlier that it's a conundrum. A woman has to endure pain to give birth. So for us to get pearls of wisdom, for us to function better, I think in most cases, we must learn. And learning, unlearning, relearning is never easy. It's a journey on its own. So that starting is important. And the failure is important as well. In making you, it's a journey of you becoming, So every part of it then makes a beautiful story. The ducks don't always have to be in the row. Sometimes they are not, sometimes they are. But when they are not, you still show up, you still do what you have to do. I promise you, help will find you.
Like that, learning, relearning, unlearning, and that powerful statement that help will find you. Precious, thank you for joining us today on HUMHR Career Insights. I am so grateful you said yes when I reached out. Before you go, though, I'd like to find out what keeps you motivated to continue this work.
I think my childhood and my need to make my siblings' life easier, better, and leave this community a better place keeps me going. I think I see a lot of inequalities around me that disturbs me. My friends often joke and say I'm a humanitarian by nature. So I believe that I'm also born to bring about a change, and not just a change, but a positive change. Supposed to do impactful things, and that keeps me going. But again, also, that being said, I don't think that what we do would make sense if we don't include men. So sitting here, I'm not propagating something that is feminism or anything. I feel that we equally need men to help us in achieving what we need to achieve. We are not working in silos. We are created to bring balance and value to each other, and I think we should be intentional in doing so. So if a man has a door open that is clean, that is good, walk in it. If a woman has a door open, I think it's a matter of us joining hands, joining our hearts, and being intentional in building the things that we want to do with the right people, right support structures around ourselves.
I love that, Precious. I normally do some fire round questions at the end, just very quick. Just 2 more minutes of your precious time. So here we go. Women's leadership or economic policy?
Women's leadership.
Impact or scale?
Scale.
Community or capital?
Capital.
Mentorship or opportunity?
Mentorship.
Africa rising, hype or reality?
Reality.
One book, Precious, every entrepreneur should read.
Of course, I'm going to be biased. I wrote a book, Thriving Entrepreneurs. I would want people to read my book. I still want to make headlines with that book. I think
Where can people get your book?
It's there on Amazon. Here in South Africa, it's print on demand. We have a printer that prints copies. I think we've supplied a few universities with the book. Yeah, I would love for people to read my book. And then I think also just to be fair, I love the book Think and Grow Rich. It's one of my favorite books. It helps me because it's in the mind. If I can think of it, I can have it.
And finally, if your entrepreneurship journey had a billboard message for the world, what would it say?
Don't give up. Don't give up. It's not going to be easy, but don't give up. Keep at it. Keep going. One day is one day. Keep at it. Don't give up.
I love it. Thank you, Precious, for your time today. And to our listeners, thank you so much for joining us today. Do not take it for granted that through the noise, through the competing priorities, you have joined Precious and I today. Until next time, stay inspired.
Thank you so much. Thank you.